Story 1. Richard Scollier, co-director of the Melanoma Institute in Australia and a world-renowned melanoma pathologist, is battling terminal glioblastoma, an aggressive brain cancer. Alongside his co-director and close friend, Georgina Long, he is applying their expertise in melanoma research to seek a cure for this currently incurable disease. Scollier is participating in the first human trial for a cancer vaccine, combined with personalized immunotherapy. It's incredible that someone with such deep knowledge of cancer treatments is able to fast-track potential breakthroughs for this brain cancer. Wishing him success in his fight. Story 2. The greater one-horned rhino population in India and Nepal is growing, as highlighted in the State of the Rhino Report 2023 by the International Rhino Foundation. The collaboration among India, Bhutan, and Nepal, along with strict government protection and management, has led to an increase in their population over the past decade. The greater one-horned rhino population, which once numbered as low as 100 in the early 1900s, has increased to more than 4,014 now. Story 3. The underground water in the Midwest that is the primary source of water for many of our crops is drying up, and it's irreplaceable. I have yet to see it mentioned by any politician or news outlet. The end result is going to be devastating, and nobody seems to notice or care. Story 4. Most people don't know this, but it is about to be persimmon season in Turkey, and I am looking forward to it since it is my favorite fruit. Out here, they don't have that bitter aftertaste and are extremely juicy. Story 5. As of August, there have been at least 500,000 casualties in Ukraine. A lot of people know the war is going on but do not realize just how deadly it is. Story 6. Babies experience the full breadth of human pain. The fact that they forget many experiences does not mean that those experiences do not shape their consciousness. For a long time, medical science basically said we could ignore infants' pain because it is not real and is just a reaction. This was also proven real in all animals, which, again, was argued to just be an external reaction. Story 7. Colleges are closing across the United States. Mainly small regional colleges, but at a rate of about one per week. Most of these are private nonprofit colleges that aim to provide affordable education in rural America, in areas not served by state universities or community college systems, and mainly graduate teachers and social workers. We all know how this works. Having to go to a large state university to become a teacher pulls students out of their smaller hometowns, saddles them with a load of debt that forces them to chase jobs in wealthier cities, and leaves students who are pinned to their hometowns, who have custody of younger brothers or sisters, or who are caretakers for an ailing parent with fewer good options. Online programs can't produce licensed teachers or social workers or engineers or nurses. They have terrible retention rates and also host many predatory, for-profit players. This is going to leave small-town America in an even worse spot than it is now, with fewer teachers and social workers and doctors and nurses, fewer educated professionals who know and understand the communities they serve, and fewer opportunities for ordinary people to train into higher-paying jobs. All of this is another crisis for rural America. And just like every other rural crisis, it's an easily solvable problem that's going to destroy millions of lives because this is the United States and nobody cares about anything outside the city limits. Story 8. Chuck Schumer, alongside a rare display of bipartisan support, is attempting to open up disclosure surrounding legacy unidentified aerial phenomena programs and historic government secrecy. This follows high-ranking individuals testifying to Congress that the government does, in fact, have non-human craft in its possession. Essentially, the existence of a legacy crash retrieval program hidden from congressional oversight has been confirmed, going back decades, and the government seems intent on eventually disclosing this to the public. However, the media doesn't like to follow the subject matter. The former director of the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program has also just released a book confirming all of this. Relevant high-level sources note that everyone will simply dismiss me as a conspiracy nut. I see the negative feedback has begun. I mean, this is what has actually been said in Congress. Don't blame the messenger. Congress has deemed it important enough to serve another hearing about this next month, this time inviting insider whistleblowers. So, for anyone who thinks it's a waste of time, know that Congress and even the Senate seem to disagree. Story 9. High veterinary costs have nothing to do with the individual clinic you are frequenting. Hedge funds and venture capitalist interests have taken over approximately 86% of all veterinary hospitals in the United States. They call the shots, and the doctors and staff have zero say in the charges that are presented to you. Don't get upset at the staff that is trying to help you. There are bigger forces bankrolling them, and as a result, in order for them to get paid, they have to follow. Trust me, we hate it too. Story 10. In Ghana, illegal mining activities, popularly known as galamsey, are wreaking havoc on water bodies, forest reserves, and the environment as a whole. Harmful chemicals such as mercury and cyanide, often used in illegal and small-scale mining, have contaminated major rivers that are essential to the nation's water supply. This pollution is already causing serious health issues for people in surrounding communities, and if left unchecked, it will soon affect the entire country. Unfortunately, while protesters have been arrested and denied bail for raising their voices against this environmental disaster, those responsible for these destructive activities continue to operate freely. You can check the growing conversation on Twitter using the hashtag #StopGalamseyNow and free the citizens to stay informed and support the movement. Story 11. People seem to misunderstand what it means when a person gets long COVID. Sure, it could be a case of you getting over a very bad bout of the illness, and perhaps you have some residual heart or lung recovery needed. For so many people, it is the onset of a post-viral illness that researchers are still scrambling to understand. This is happening to young, healthy, active people. Long COVID can often give you chronic fatigue syndrome, also known as myalgic encephalomyelitis, that can leave you so profoundly fatigued that you can no longer walk or get out of bed, or sometimes unable to sit up, called postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. One variant of this fatigue can impact your ability to tolerate stimulus, so it might leave you in a dark, silent room. You may lose your ability to speak, and thinking may even worsen your condition. Other symptoms may leave you tube-fed and unable to tolerate foods, known as mast cell activation syndrome. Whitney Defoe, a longtime sufferer of chronic fatigue syndrome, calls it the living death. I could write many pages about this horrific illness. Why isn't the public more aware? Because we have no treatments or cure, and the reality of getting this illness is terrifying and also not good for the economy. Please read up, people. Long COVID is truly concerning. Story 12. Managers wouldn't let employees leave and they died. Confirmed by various sources. Story 13. The fourth industrial revolution is a revolution of implementation in robotics, automation, sensors, artificial intelligence, and machinery. Capitalism is sustained by the consumption of the working class. Automation that can be easily implemented in any industry for nearly any purpose will create an unemployment crisis and a collapse in consumer demand, as well as an increasing concentration of wealth in the owners of the automation. Story 14. I feel like most people are barely acknowledging the 26 million in Sudan suffering from acute food insecurity, 110,000 perished from the violence, over 13 million people displaced. The healthcare system has collapsed and 19 million children are no longer able to access school. This, to me, is the largest crisis happening, and whenever I mention it, I get blank stares from most people. The United States is the largest donor at over $2 billion US, but this is a fraction of the amount of money being sent to places like Israel or Ukraine. Story 15. There is a bill that is trying to change credit card fees. If passed, it will end our credit card points we are used to. Worse, big box retailers will not pass the savings to consumers. They will pocket the profits. Story 16. Private equity companies are buying behavioral health companies left and right. They're driving people out of the industry, increasing the rates they charge, and keeping all the profit for their investors. This is happening widely in the healthcare field. This all could be stopped if we had Medicare for all or universal healthcare, but nothing in this country can pass that would challenge third-party leeches siphoning money from the needy. Story 17. I'm kicking ass most days learning guitar, and I absolutely love it. If anyone wanted to learn an instrument, sing, or make music, I can't endorse it enough. Story 18. A lot of parents need to start taking responsibility for the behavior of their children. Your job is to parent at home, not have the teacher do it for you at school. Story 19. Basically, all Alzheimer's research in the last decade has been built on a lie. The war in South Sudan is costing millions of lives. A new helmet will stop hair loss from chemotherapy. Story 20. Gerrymandering, the manipulation of voting districts to favor one political party over another, is a real problem in the United States of America, with many articles explaining it, but it rarely makes the news. Story 21. The United States is losing in the Arctic. Russia controls shipping along the Northern Sea Route, providing the shortest distance between East Asia and Europe. Shipping oil and gas from its Siberian fields is a big economic driver, but it's dealing with Western sanctions, so it is forced to use a shadow fleet of tankers that are older and operate outside of international norms and regulations. China is also turning to the route more, thanks in part to problems in the Red Sea, and it just sent 3 icebreakers up there for the first time, hailing it as a big accomplishment for its Arctic Silk Road. Meanwhile, the United States is down to 1 heavy icebreaker that is 40 years old and can only undertake a single mission per year down to Antarctica to help resupply scientists, plus another medium icebreaker that is always running into issues and was forced to return to Seattle this year after an engine room fire. The Coast Guard's new icebreaker program is years behind schedule and over budget, and would be lucky to deliver the first vessel this decade. Story 22. The approaching death of the internet, as per the dead internet theory, means that an ever greater proportion of traffic on the internet is caused by artificial intelligence bots replying to AI-created content, and we can't even tell. AI language models have been advanced enough that they'll pass as a normal person online without looking into it just fine. The hypothesized endpoint of it is an internet devoid of actual people, where only bots reply to each other in a cannibalistic Ouroboros fashion. Like, imagine a town where not a single person lived, but there were loudspeakers everywhere playing back recorded conversations and procedurally generating new ones. To me, it's simultaneously a scary and a relieving thought. The concept of the dead internet feels like something out of a cyberpunk version of the Lovecraft mythos. But at the same time, I wonder if the internet gets filled enough with bots and AI-generated garbage, maybe we'll end up going full circle and go back to physical media and meeting people in real life again. Story 23. What's crazy is that I went to a very good college 25 years ago, and looking at kids who get in these days, there is no way I would have gotten in anywhere I applied back then. Story 24. People are going through old Ask Men questions and reposting them word for word. Sometimes they don't even have the decency to wait a few weeks. What a bunch of bastards. Story 25. Somewhere in the Himalayas, there is a border dispute between 2 nuclear powers. Instead of firearms, they are using spears, swords, tridents, and other assorted medieval weaponry. The twist? They are creating electrified versions of these items. Sounds made up, but look up the China-India border dispute. Story 26. Women in most countries already have a 60% advantage over men when it comes to sentencing for the same crimes, if they receive a prison sentence at all. That gap is 6 times larger than the 10% gap between black people and white people, which is more than enough to be considered discriminatory. The United Kingdom has had a push to further increase this gap between men and women for several years, and it is working. Women criminals will receive legal protections which will further increase the already significant gap between punishments for men and women for the same crimes. When we look at black people and white people and see the crime rate disparities, we conclude that black people are the victims of discrimination and circumstances beyond their control that lead them to desperation and crime at rates higher than white people. When we look at men and women and see the crime rate disparities, we conclude that men are heinous beasts who deserve their life of crime and any punishments that come from it. This is systematic sexism that is being pushed for and increased, not being pushed out and decreased. Story 27. The worker I chat with at my local grocery store told me there's a port strike happening, so they just made a huge order of toilet paper. So run, do not walk to get more toilet paper. Again. Story 28. The United States government admitted that unidentified flying objects and aliens are real and that they retrieved alien spacecraft. Currently, there are 2 senators that are influenced by Lockheed Martin and are blocking largely bipartisan legislation to bring transparency to these secret programs, which are run without oversight. The issue was struck down again in the last 2 weeks in the 2025 National Defense Authorization Act. Story 29. AI now is just a funny chatbot to some, but it is expected to surpass human intelligence in just a few years. It will become so incredibly smart, and by that becoming exponentially smarter again and again until we reach singularity where pretty much everything possible gets invented. Humans will merge with computers, all sickness will be cured, and all major problems will be solved instantly. This is expected by the year 2045. Story 30. A Finnish company has found a way to make protein from air. In Australia, large areas of eucalyptus trees are dying, and we are not certain why. It is certainly a problem,